I was maybe 10 years old and I was getting picked on a lot. I came from Vietnam 3 days before the fall of Saigon, and just coming over here, I was picked on a lot, and I think my mom got fed up and she put me in some Taekwondo, and I started training. The sports kept me out of trouble, and I'm just glad that I'm doing martial arts.
You know, I have an experience, you know, in the MMA world and doing films involving fighting and whatnot. To be involved with someone like Kung and see what he's bringing to the table, that was kind of my first interest. Instead of like an old dusty Western town, we have our version of a contemporary kind of slum, but the kind of general look of the town, the costumes and everything, it wears its kind of Western influences on its sleeve.
It has that new type of look, like something surreal but real. It's a movie where lots of people are involved, fresh face, fresh characters, people from the street.
Like all good Westerns, they're always about people existing in hazardous environments. So the way you tell that story is to put these innocent characters, Rosanna being one, in a very kind of corrupt, hazardous setting.
I would describe Rosanna as a warrior in some sense, because she's been in this neighborhood all her life that's been gang-ridden, and she's had to protect herself and her own and her community.
She really just sort of represents this kind of broken town and this broken kind of philosophy, and Kung is there to kind of mend that.
She always has her guard up, you know, until she knows she doesn't have to.
My character's real name is Vittorio Cigno, which means in English, Victor Swan. And he is high up in the police department, and he's essentially like the Wild West, cut his own swath through what he feels is corrupt and not, and subsequently he makes his own rules and smokes a cigar or two at the time. I'm finishing this one from a scene I just shot.
Mr. V is, in the most basic sense, he's the mob boss of the town, or he is the character who is, you know, pulling all the strings and wielding all the power and using it obviously just for, as villains do, for his own personal benefit and not the benefit of others.
If you look deep within you, you want the world your way. And so that's all I have to tap into. This is a guy who wants the world his way and gets it his way.
Working with Peter Weller has been an absolute joyful experience. I've been an admirer of his work for a long time, but I didn't really anticipate what a truly interesting, you know, incredibly intelligent man he is. It's almost like having a professor on the set.
Peter Weller, he's a man with many words, very sharp tongue, and very smart, but in a way slimy in his character. In the movie. In real life, he's a cool dude.
He's brought so much to this character with a lot of charm and a lot of flair and a lot of menace, and you know, Peter has that voice and those icy blue eyes, and it's just fun to you know, put a camera on him and see what he's going to do.
Some people these days would be happy to enlist the aid of a Mr. V to control violence, to make things peaceful. Just so happens that in dictatorship, only one or two guys get the right to be thieves. In a democracy, everybody gets the right to be a thief. Here, though, it's only Mr. V.
Hong, as a character, is, again, he's sort of the man with no name, in that he is a very ambiguous character.
You know, he's wrestling in on my turf initially, and then I sort of include him into the fold, and we get along. I don't know that he has a secondary motive, which is to rid this town of me.
Their relationship ultimately is two players at the poker table. You know, Hong's way of manipulating Mr. V, along with the way he manipulates everyone else, is not simply just through physicality, but also through you know, guile and being smart and playing people against each other, and that's part of the fun of the movie.
This theme of the renegade individual who comes into a town that's corrupt and has to play both sides against the middle, but there's a big cheese, aka me, that he has to overcome.
She saw how much he gave of himself to better the world. So I feel like he brought in a transition in her life from that kind of closed off person that she was to a courageous person that wanted to give again.
Kung Lee, I love him. I mean, I knew just from talking to him before shooting I knew he was incredibly disciplined. I knew he cared very much. But then to be around him, I mean, he's just one of those people that just kind of brightens up the room when he's in it. He's incredibly talented physically, as a performer on so many levels.
Well, he's a great guy, Kung Le. He's also a talented martial artist, and he's fun to work with. And he's got a great sense of humor, which is good.
He's got more energy than probably all of us combined here. You know, I haven't seen him come close to any breaking point. He's out there doing take after take of really physically arduous, activity.
He's a fantastic person. He's very disciplined, great champion, and also he gave me lots of tips, and he's a great guy to play with. We have a great chemistry.
And I know in these things everyone kind of blows smoke. That's part of the job, but I mean, he really is probably one of the hardest working people I've ever worked with.
Tiano is a mentor of a great champion, Kung Le. By mistake, I killed my son, and now it's redemption. And of course, I took life in jail, and now I would like to pay back the mistake I made. It felt good to me to play that type of mentor, because today I'm in a great position, way of looking at life, and in a sense I play kind of myself.
I basically prepare for this role just like I would be preparing for a fight. The amount that I would put in for a fight, from morning training, afternoon training, and evening training, I would do the same thing for this movie.
In talking to Moshe Diamant, the producer of the film, he told me that Kung was not only coming on to be the star of the film, but also was going to be the fight choreographer on the film. Normally when I do some things, I assume I'm going to have a lot of input at that level to get it to where I think it's going to be right. But in Kung, I've just sort of have a partner on this film who's really carrying half of the load.
This is the next generation of a movie fighting. I guarantee that people will be satisfied with the type of fighting that they're going to see, and it's going to be different from any other movies out there. I would match the fight scenes in this movie up against any $50 to $100 million movie. They won't match it.
The action, I think, is going to be pretty unique and special. I think it's a different style than you've seen before.
They have some really awesome creative moves. The first draft, I actually would have gotten to do a lot more martial arts. It would have been really fun. But there is a point where I have a little bit of action going on.
Kung is from Vietnam, and he's obviously a martial artist, but he's, very schooled in Western styles of fighting, Eastern styles of fighting. And so, in many ways, by making him the central character, it's almost like East meets West in a certain way.
You have to adapt to create a style for your own self, own anatomy, in a sense. I call it karate, but you have many styles of martial arts.
Martial arts is a never-ending learning process, so I will probably keep learning till the day I, die.
But this thing kind of let us ride the line between reality and kind of a heightened reality, and not sort of high-flying kung fu type of things, but more street fighting and real down and dirty stuff.
Right now, up to date, with all the films I've done, I think John Hyams is my favorite director that I've been able to work with. He's easygoing, very intelligent, and he's got that vision.
John is wonderfully inventive, and he lets actors invent, and that's the best thing you can do. If you have a director who has a plan, who comes and hits the floor with his plan, but still gives the actor a lot of room to create, then you've got a gifted director.
I just try to keep myself open to any good ideas that are out there. And I've given all the actors and performers in the film great freedom, so a lot of the language in the film is borrowed from very authentic street type of slang that really a lot of the actors have brought to the table.
He is a really great director, and I felt so lucky to be on this film even before I came on.
He's also a good painter, so he knows how to design the light, and he's very detailed, and he's a leader on a quiet way.
He was very communicative and fun and sweet, nice guy.
It's just a great guy, a nice guy, and that's good, because all those kids, including me, I'm still a kid, we just love him.
I hope that the audience, first and foremost, I hope that it just is like a great ride for the audience, and I hope that it is kind of giving people a familiar story in a different way than they've seen before.
Viewers should expect some kick-ass fighting.
Viewers should expect a lot of action.
Sheer entertainment, darling. Sheer entertainment.